Most AI websites look like complete garbage. They might look nice on the surface, but they have no structure, so they're completely useless. But now Claude Code can build good looking and functional websites that you can sell for thousands of dollars. And this is the main problem. 99% of people just open Claude Code and say, oh, build me a website. Or they use some really low quality Claude Code skill they found in some random GitHub repository, which can result in a beautiful design, but there's no real structure behind it. So in turn, nobody actually buys it because it looks like just some AI slop that they could probably do themselves. Whereas the right way to do it is these 3 steps. So the first is to research what works in the niche. If you're not looking at the competition, then you'll never be able to beat them. So that's the first thing. Look at the other websites in the same niche. Then you want to build a wireframe with purpose. We need to know exactly what pages to build and what's the purpose of each page. Is it SEO purposes? Is it just to make customers like, know, and trust you? Are we optimizing for conversion? Substance first, style second. Too many people do the opposite. So we'll be using 3 tools today to build a banger website. The first one is Firecrawl. It's going to scrape all of our competitor websites that Claude actually knows what to work with. Then we have Reloom. Reloom builds your sitemap and wireframes so that every page has a purpose. And I'll show you that in a bit. You actually get 500 free credits with the free trial. So that one's not necessarily paid. Key.ai is a pay as you go type of thing, but it's like $5 in credits. And the fact that we can build this on like $5 or $10 is absolutely outrageous. And that's what gives us access to all those different image models like Nano Banana. And then we have Claude Code, of course, which is going to build the entire website for us automatically. Okay, so we're going to head over to firecrawl.dev, and then you're going to head over to the left where it says API keys, and then just click on the copy. We're going to copy and paste this directly into Claude Code in VS Code. And again, once you go into VS Code, all you're going to do is you're going to click terminal, new terminal, and then you're just going to type in Claude. And then as I just did before, you're just going to paste in the API key and say create an MCP and connect to Firecrawl with this. And then you just paste in the API key. It'll connect in about 30 seconds. And now we can move on to giving it this prompt. But before I give you that prompt, it's really important to understand that anytime we're building a website or an app, any kind of software, the most important piece is always going to be the actual substance before we start talking about the beauty. And this is especially important if you're selling these to business owners or offering your services as a web developer or, UI front-end developer. The customer is always going to want to know, is it going to look good? And that's probably your concern if you're building a website for yourself. But the most important question is always, what are we actually building this from, right? What's that base foundation? So there's a list of questions I have in my free guide along with my other resources. This will be linked down in the description, by the way. The first question is, who is the website for? The visitor. This is extremely important. Everyone thinks I'm building a website for a pest control company. I should make it so that they're happy. No, that's not what's going to convert, and they're not going to be happy with that at the end of the day. You want to build a website for the visitor because it's the only thing that matters. People only care about congruency. So if you build a website to look nice for the business owner, they're not the customer, so that doesn't matter. Is it a coaching business? And we need to give this information to Claude Code. Saying just a coaching business doesn't tell us anything, right? But burnt out 9-to-5ers who want to quit their job in 90 days. The more emotion that we can elicit, the better, because that gives us the real context to actually be able to pick the right sections, tone, layout, everything. So we need to ask ourselves, if somebody lands on this website, what are they? Who are they? What do they care about? What's important to them? And along with that, the second one is, what's the one action that you want them to take once they land on your website? If you have an e-commerce store, once they land on the website, what's our goal? For them to purchase. So every landing page is a single primary call to action. Is it to book a call? Is it, like I said, to purchase a product? Everything in the entire page needs to support that single action. Book a call, join a wait list, buy now. And the third is, what do they need to believe before they take that action? This is extremely important. Your visitor is going to have objections. So for this example, we're going to be using a pool cleaning service as the website that we'll be building. Your page exists to handle those objections. So what's the problem with other companies, right? What have they faced when dealing with different pool cleaning companies in the past? What are they afraid of? Maybe they're afraid of it, infecting their kid's skin or something weird, maybe their dog's skin or some kind of allergic reaction with chemicals. So that is a very big fear for people who are having something like pool cleaning. This is why you need to do a little bit of research, and we have Claude. There's no excuse not to do a little bit of research and actually figure out, what are the concerns? What are the pain points? What do these people need to have satisfied in order to feel comfortable and trusting in making a purchase? And that's where we make sure that the copy, proof, the structure actually addresses each one of these problems before we ask for a purchase, right? Because before we ask for the purchase. The fourth is, where is the traffic coming from? If someone's just coming from a completely cold source, right? If we're cold calling somebody, well, they probably need a little bit more context than somebody who knows about our business. They actually know who we are. They know what we're all about. These people have no idea. So if they're coming from completely cold traffic, like Google, they need way more context than a warm audience that's coming from, say, like, because they follow your Instagram or your email list. So if our traffic is cold and organic, organic. We need to lead with the problem and build trust early. With warm social, you can kind of skip the whole education piece because they're already problem and possibly solution aware. So in that case, it's okay for us to be a bit closer to bottom of the funnel, which is essentially just leading with the offer and pushing for the close. And if our traffic is coming from paid ads, the same exact messaging. This is a massive mistake that a lot of people make when they're trying to do things like drop shipping and or e-commerce. And I only know because I have very good experience in both of those. The messaging needs to be congruent, like I said earlier. Congruency is a massive deal. So if the ad says 50% off and then they get to the website and it says 30% off or 75% off here with different things and the messaging is completely different, red flags go up for people. So the messaging needs to be very clear. And this is a lot deeper than the context of the video, but if you're making an ad that talks about solving the specific pain point of, like I said, let's say like you're a pool cleaner who uses specific chemicals that make sure nobody gets any allergy breakouts or something, right? Well, if the person's coming from that specific ad, then we want them to land somewhere that kind of elaborates upon that and gives all the other information that we need to in order to push them towards the close, because that's the angle that we were targeting. The next one is, how will you know if it's working? So define the win before you build. Otherwise, we're just guessing what to fix. What's the conversion rate that we're aiming for? What's our definition of a win? And what are we tracking? Signups, calls booked. What does good actually look like for us? So now I'll just copy this whole thing. And we'll go back to Claude Code and ask, using the Firecrawl MCP that we just created, I'd like you to do some research and find the top 5 top performing websites in Miami, Florida for pool cleaners. Assess top performers by things like SEO rankings, Google reviews, make sure they make sense, maybe overall sentiment about their business online, and answer these 5 questions for me below with the information that you find. Because I'm about to create a beautiful website and I want to have the best possible information. And we'll send that. Okay, just came back with this. So we have the Miami Pool Cleaner top 5 performers. They gave us this company, strongest SEO footprint. That's what it is Flow Pool. Okay, CPO certified. Okay, so what do they all have in common? This is your baseline. CPO certified. Okay, so they're all licensed, insured, no long-term contracts. Okay, so it gives us all the things that people probably want to hear that they all have in common. Your 5 questions. So who is the website for? In Miami or Miami Beach? Homeowner, 35 to 60 years old, likely in Coral Gables. Okay, this is great. What's the one action that we want them to take? Request a quote. What do they need to believe before they take the action? Based on what every top competitor addresses and what reviewers complain about. This is crazy. When they don't get it. Okay, so customers complain when they don't get this. So you'll actually show up every week. You're licensed and won't damage their pool. I won't be locked in to a month-to-month contract. Okay, so it gives us all these different objections. Where's the traffic coming from? Google search, 100%. People searching pool cleaning service in Miami. How will you know if it's working? Okay, so the primary metric that we're going to use to know if it's working is quote form submissions per 100 visitors. Then it gives us the industry standard. So like 6 to 8% would be fantastic. Secondary metric is click to call events. So number of calls per month, of course. And then the gap that we can exploit, every top competitor has the same weaknesses. The pages look the same. It's insane that they can just go and grab this information. Stock hero photo of a blue pool, generic get a quote form, no personality. The one person who wins. And then it pulls the information from all the competition. Again, this is what's worth people paying you money. If you can look at all this information, take it and actually turn it into something that turns attention into cash. The one who wins shows before and after photos, price transparency. This is all great information that we can now use. So now that we have this, the question becomes, what now? Well, do we just take this and send it to Claude Code and say, here, go build it? No, remember, don't fall into that trap. Now we need to actually build a proper structure and the wireframe. So we have the contact us page, we have the reviews page, testimonials. We make sure that we have everything that addresses these points in the best possible way for the user experience. So you can do this by yourself, or you can use a site called Reloom that'll do it for you. And the whole goal of this site is to build websites faster with AI, but more importantly, instantly generate sitemaps, wireframes, which is what we need, and style guides for websites. So it's going to help us to build out that structure beforehand. So we have sitemaps, right? So instead of just giving the information to AI and saying, here, go figure it out yourself, we can structure everything that we need here with the sitemap. And then we have our wireframe. So we can actually structure the pages. A wireframe, to simply explain it, is essentially, if I click this, we go here. If I click this, we go here. We're just wireframing all of our options together so we have the clear structure. And then we can create a style guide, which I think is probably easier to just do that, like I said, before we take it to Claude Code. So the goal of this is not to host the website here. The goal is to simply get a good foundation and structure and then give this over to Claude Code, because what you'll notice is with Claude Code, It's okay on its own, but it's a lot better when we actually give it a reference to something. That's really a massive trick right there. It's when we can actually give it access to something that is already pre-developed. Then when it takes that and takes it even further, and we're not hosting the website here, it's really just to, like I said, build that structure so we can then give it to Claude Code. Claude Code works a lot better when it actually has something to refer to rather than just saying, hey, go do this for me. And we'll just send a prompt to create the sitemap. And like I said, be the wireframe and the style guide if you want to create it here. It's way faster than Claude Code. So let's click launch and create a new project. So now we can go over to Claude Code, and I just said, give me a Reloom ready prompt based on the top performance so that I can actually build out a website from this style guide, etc. Give me everything that I need to properly build out the structure. So it gave us this in parts. So we're gonna have to just kind of copy and paste as we go. So we'll paste this one in, and number of pages, we want 5 to 10. And now we'll click on generate sitemap. And it just populated the sitemap for it. So it says the home, nav bar, and notice we didn't even really give it that much information. Claude Code gave us way more information to use in the prompt, but we just used the basic one, and it already has all these different pages laid out. And this is really awesome. It gives us the sections, so benefits, stats, testimonials. So that actually gives us the page layout for the home page. Like each one of these sections are the actual layout. So we have that home hero image, and then the features, and then all the rest on the bottom. And then we have that call to action section in the bottom, which again, we might actually move to the top, considering that once people land on the page, they're probably landing on the page to call us. And if you look at this and you say, hey, you know what? I actually want the CTA at the top, like I just said. Well, that's fine. We can just simply move it all the way up to the top beneath the hero section. We have our services, service areas, reviews, contact section. And what you'll notice here is you're actually able to edit this text. So this is going to be the actual text on the website. So we'll just look around here and look for things to change. So it says strong call to action, and there's going to be a number that says get my free quote form and phone number visible above the fold. Okay, so actually we can move this call to action down towards the bottom or just towards the middle. We'll just put it somewhere random with the middle. You usually want to put it right near testimonials. So you'll have like one call to action, and then we'll have testimonials. And then after that, normally at the bottom, we'll have some kind of call to action. Basically like, hey, if you weren't convinced the first time, well, now hopefully you are, and then call to action. So we can scroll through each one of these sections, change the text around. And then when we're done with this and we're happy with it, we can go to the next step, which is a wireframe. And now from all the information that we just provided, now it's going to go ahead and automatically create a wireframe. And now it's actually going to generate each one of those pages. And you can see it's just generating each page at a time. I think you can only export one unless you have a paid plan. Like if we zoom in here, it says upgrade to view more pages. Yeah, so you can only generate one and export, but it's very simple for us to just use Claude Code to say, hey, go recreate the pages just like you made this one. Okay, so I forgot they have a free trial for this. So you can just do this, design your website, export it, and cancel the subscription if you wanted to. So now we have all these pages and they'll actually be connected. Go to the top right hand corner, click this little drop down here to export, and you're going to see Figma, Webflow, React, HTML. What we need is React. So select that one and then click export. Okay, and that's going to download. So now it's going to show you exactly what you actually need in order to properly configure it. So let's just copy this. And I'm just going to head over to Claude and paste it in, copy this, and paste that in to install that package. So now we're going to click on this file button in the top left-hand corner. Click on that. It's the same thing in anti-gravity. It'll open up over here on the left. So now we'll just drag that in here and open that folder, and we'll just drag that folder in here. And once you drag that in, now Claude has all these files to actually refer to. I was just building a website for a pool cleaner in a different project, I think. Can you please go back to that one? I need all the information here for you to actually see. I just dragged in Jim S pool cleaning. And I just told Claude Code that I just downloaded that folder called Jim's Pool Cleaning for it to refer to. So now I'm just going to send the simple prompt saying, I want you to open up this folder, Jim's Pool Cleaning, open it up in localhost and connect all the wireframes for me, install the packages that you need, and wire it all together with the sitemap as a reference. And now if we open it up, this is what it looks like. So I had to add some scrolling animations and some hover effects, but look how clean this is. Hover effects, got contact us. You can always add different animations and stuff onto the buttons if you want to. Scrolling down, we have the area. Now this is actually something that we'll probably end up having to fix, but overall, for the most part, I like the color scheme. It looks a bit different because I had to go back and forth with it 2 or 3 times. Right off the bat, it's just going to put things together. Again, it's going to put the pieces together because we've already built that structure. And now it's giving us these really nice images. And I mean, this is really nice. And any glitches or anything you see, you can always just send a message to Claude Code and obviously just have them make changes. But this looks really clean. I told it to put images of, like pools, anything related with pools, which I'll show you how to swap out in a second. This is really nice. I also had it add this, and I'm talking like 2 seconds, like within a prompt. It's not necessarily a one shot, like maybe 2 or 3, but I didn't do anything. I just asked it to add this. And so now we have this map too that we can scroll around with, which is awesome. I told it to add the Google Maps with all of our service areas. And then we have more testimonials and areas where it matters. The review page, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so any way that you want to change this, you can. There's a couple small problems like this rendering. And again, all you would do is just go to Claude Code and say, hey, when I click on the context button, there's this. And you can either send it a screenshot or whatever, and it's going to fix it immediately. So I'm not even going to spend the time to fix that right now. You guys already know how to do that. Okay, so now we're going to go to normal Claude, and we're just going to ask, give me a really good prompt that I can put into key.ai that's going to give me a nice, very dirty image of a dirty pool. I need something that is extremely disgusting and gross. There's algae. There's just everything you could possibly imagine on this one pool. Okay, so now it's going to generate that for us. And we want that with no background. And then I'm just going to say, now create one for the complete opposite. Fresh, clean pool. It's the exact same pool, exact same shape, but make it like absolutely pristine. Beautiful blue crystal clean water. And these are the images that we got from those two prompts. So we have the clean one and the dirty one. And obviously our transformation, I should probably have these switched around, but the transformation should be going from dirty to clean. So then in Claude, I asked for a pool transformation animation prompt. And this is going to make it so that it cleans essentially in the video. So we're going to make an animation of it going from dirty to clean. So I'm just going to take this prompt. So to create these images, I'm just going to go over to key.ai, and to create the video, we're going to use Kling 3.0, and we'll just put the start image and end frame, and then it should create the animation. And then we'll just prompt it with the animation prompt that we just got. So let's grab that image. I'm going to drag that in here. I think this was, which one did we do first? That's right. Okay, cool. I'm going to take this one. Okay, so to create the nice video animation of the before and after, I dragged in the before picture that we had generated with Nano Banana 2, and then the after picture. So our goal was obviously to create a nice animation here. We copied and pasted that prompt that we got from Claude right into Kling 3.0 on key.ai, and then we generated it. So let's actually see what we did. And I accidentally made the duration 10 seconds. We don't need that. You need it like 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Just something quick when people land on the website, but let's see what it created. Okay, so now I'm just going to download this, and we need to find a place in the website to put it. Normally you want to put like a before and after. It would go right underneath the header just so they can see call now, and then they go beneath and they see whatever cool thing that we can hook their attention with. So let's go back over. So I just uploaded it, and now we're just going to say add this video as a before and after section right beneath the header on the website. Okay, and now let it do that. All right, the load is clean. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. Okay, and we can make any changes that we want to the way things load. We can add more of them. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily, but I told it specifically to be web optimized so that it's actually fast, because a lot of the times you have large images, it's not going to load as fast. And sometimes that can be a ranking factor with SEO. So that's it for the video. I appreciate you guys watching. Go use the system, be creative, and just make the best websites that you possibly can. If you're more serious about AI automation and you want to learn how to automate your ads, content, and leads, I'll leave a link to my paid community down in the description. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.